Hi, I'm Stéphane Wrembel, and in this lesson we will focus solely on the rhythm, the cyclical aspect of rhythm with open strings. So why the open strings? It's because then you don't have to focus too much on the left hand and focus more on the rhythm and the cyclical aspect of rhythm. This is a thing we haven't really developed in the West, but it is very profoundly anchored in the culture in India. Actually, it's all about that. I remember taking lessons, and whenever we switched to like triplets or group of three, we would always adjust at the end. For example, for a scale, we would always adjust at the end with like adding a note or something to always come back on the first beat. But no one has ever told me, why not continue and see what's going on? And actually, the Indians did. They just continued, and they discovered that there is a cyclical aspect of rhythm. So, for example, here we're going to take what I would call a composition of 10 notes, which is 10 notes. We can call them a quarter notes or whatever. You know, doesn't really matter. It's more like a grouping of one. We're going to have the 10 open strings like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is 11 or 1. It goes back. It's the end of a cycle, it's the beginning of a new cycle. So if we take that as the composition, and we play that composition twice faster, meaning, for example, in written music coming from quarter note to 8 note, then you need to play twice to fit the same length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 1. You know, let's say 1, because it really comes back on 1. So you see, that cycle happened twice. Now, if we play it 3 times, so we have a cycle, we played 3 times faster, then we have to play it 3 times to fit the same space. Except then for the grouping of 3, the 1 doesn't fall with the metronome or with the beat until the end of the cycle. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not with the metronome or with the beat. So now I'm going to play the whole cycle of 10. You will see after 3 times, it comes back together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1. Now it's back together. So there's a little displacement here. And same thing, we play a composition 4 times faster. We play it 4 times. And then we keep the same length. And here, halfway through, like the first time it doesn't fall together with the beat, halfway through it does, then a note again, and then it does again, like every other time. Together, off, together. So now, the goal for this exercise is to not look at the guitar, is to occupy your eye with like a point in the room, something, the window, a book, whatever that is. But let your eye capture something as a center of observation, so you abandon the sense of seeing physically. So now you see from inside, and you can start visualizing your right hand and hitting the right string. And when you do that, you also listen to the sound. You pre-listen to the sound of these open strings, and you hear it. The other thing is using a metronome. I like to use a metronome for this one, for example. Here I put it at 60 beats per minute, so 1 per second. And then tap the foot with the metronome. So you know that you're still playing you start feeling those cycles. The goal is not to tap with the notes, but to keep the foot glued to the metronome so you can feel the cycles going. And it gets harder at first. Of course, when you're not used to something, it's harder. Then you get used to it and it becomes easy. But at first, it's harder to like really feel the cycle of 3, for example, in this context. So I'm going to do it now. So this is a metronome at 60. I'm even going to go a little bit slower. I'm going to go at 60. So you can really hear everything. So I'm going to tap my foot with the metronome as accurately as possible. And now I'm going to follow 1 time 1, 2 time 2, 3 time 3, 4 time 4. Then go back with 3 time 3, 2 time 2, and 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, like a pyramid. So usually we mix the two things, the number of notes per string and the number of notes per beat. So when we have, like, for example, 3 notes per string, like such as, we always want the beat to be there. But the beat can be anywhere. It can be here. It can be anywhere. So it's not because there is like 3 notes per string that we should be limited to play 3 notes per beat, or we can call it triplets. So this exercise is meant to create a freedom between the number of notes per string and the number of notes per beat, which should be anywhere completely free, you know? So the same exercise, group 1 time 1, 2 time 2, 3 time 3, 4 time 4. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, but with 2 notes per string. And the right hand does down, up, down, up. Now 2. Which is very comfortable because 2 notes per string, 2 notes per beat. A second time. So the third variation of that is to have 3 notes per string. These are the 3 different etudes with the open string and a cyclical rhythm. Same principle apply, except that now that there is 3 notes per string, it's on the cycle of 2 and the cycle of 4 that it creates displacement. And now cycle of 3 over 3 feels like more comfortable at first. And also 3 we do, because the gypsy technique, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, which is pretty much like a heartbeat. Tung, 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 tung. Anyway. Very important, the foot with the metronome. That is key to this exercise, is to be able to maintain the foot against the metronome. That's what creates the real difficulty. One of the very important things of this exercise is switching from a grouping of 2, 3, 4, whatever grouping you're switching from, is to exactly switch to it. Like we have a tendency coming from, for example, from 2 to 3 to like rush the 3 and then adjust later or something. But the idea is to mentally switch to a grouping of 3 and to immediately feel the 3 beats into the division of the beat in 3 right away on the first beat. That is quite hard to do. And another thing to do is, instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, is to do, for example, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2. Or, for example, if 3 is hard, going from 3 to 4 or 3 to 2, is to do 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 1. 1 can be the pivot rhythm in this exercise. And it's very good because it's cyclical rhythm.